You're right, people, welcome back to another video. Apologies for the delay in uploading some content. I've been quite busy recently, so I haven't really had a chance to make that many videos, but this is going to be a nice and interesting one today, and this is for the people that have requested or have messaged me and emailed me about lab systems. And I'm going to show you how to set up a nice small lab system if you've got a media gateway like a G450 or a G430. As you can see in front of me, I've got a G430 at the moment, and inside the G430 there is an S8300D version 8 in slot V1. I've also got a couple of ISDN cards as well, these MM710s T1 and E1 cards. They're not too important for this, but what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you how to load Communication Manager 8.1 onto this S8300D. Now, in the real world out there, the S8300D doesn't actually support Communication Manager 8.1. I think from memory, I believe it's version 7, version 6 and 7.1 on the S8300D. But I'm going to show you how you can load up AVP and how you can trick the system to making you be allowed to upload your OVA for Communication Manager 8.1. I did try this with version 10 and it doesn't work. But 8.1 is a good system to start with. The reason why 10 doesn't work is basically, the AVP we're going to load on is for a version 7.1, which is based on ESXi 6.0, which doesn't support secure boot, and Communication Manager 10 requires secure boot to be enabled. I did try and hack this, and I was able to upgrade it to VMware 6.5 using an offline bundle, but unfortunately, Communication Manager 10.1 requires a minimum of VMware ESXi 6.7, and this just wouldn't take 6.7 on it at all. I tried my hardest to try and hack it to get it to work, and it didn't work. So anyway, without me going into too much detail about that, I'm going to show you how to load up AVP on this for Aura 7.1, and then what we're going to do is we're going to load our OVA in for 8.1. It is going to run a bit slow, but for a basic lab system, this will be absolutely fine, and you'll get it in 30-day license error mode anyway, so you can play about with it and do what you need to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the VMware website in a minute. The things you're going to need are a USB drive, and you're going to need one of these as well, a USB CD drive. Now make sure, if you're using a non-Avaya USB drive, that the S8300D can supply enough power, because with the Avaya provided CD DVD drive, they actually have a battery inside them to be able to it kind of compensates for the lack of power that these cards push out. But this DVD drive I've got works just fine. I've got a nice decent cable for it, so it can supply the power. If you've got some of those cheap USB CD drives that come with really short cables, and the wires are really thin, it probably won't be able to supply enough juice to power this guy up here. So what we're going to do, we're going to head over to the PC now. I'm going to show you where to download the files, what you need to do with this, and then once we've burnt our CD to here, then what we can do is we can take this out, put it back in, it'll boot from the CD, it'll read the Kickstart file that we're going to generate, and we'll have our AVP installed, and then we can load Communication Manager in and just do a quick config on it, so we can get it up and working. The media gateway is configured at the moment, and by me saying it is configured, what I mean by that is it has an IP address on it, it has the firmware updated on it, and I can log into it and I can execute commands, and that is as far as it goes. If you want to know how to configure a gateway up, go and check out my G450 media gateway video. It's the same process, configuring the gateway. So what we're going to do is go over to the PC now, and we'll take a look, and we'll get that CD burnt and that Kickstart file generated. Okay guys, we're on the PC now. What we need to do is head over to the download section on the Avaya support website. Go in here and just type in AVP, and then choose 7.1 as the version number. And then what we want is this file here. So we're going to download this. We're going to download our ISO file, which I'm pretty sure that's it. No, sorry, I've got this wrong. Let's start again. So what we need to do is we need to go to Avaya Virtualization Platform 7.1, but it's not this ISO. So what I like to do is just go back in here. It's in here somewhere, I'm sure it is.
7.1.8. This website's so unpredictable at times. That's for upgrades. Oh, here we go. So I'm being really stupid and I actually scrolled straight past it. It's this one here, the Avaya Aura Appliance Virtualization Platform 7.1.3.8 for new install. So we need that. And then what we'll do is we'll download this ISO and we need to burn that to CD. And then once we've got that, what we need to do is head over to our Solution Deployment Manager. We need to go down here to Kickstart Generation. And then we're going to select AVP 7.1. And I'm going to untick this box because I'm not using IP version 6, so I'll untick that. And what we need to do is we need to specify what we want our AVP, which is our VMware. You know, want to specify a management IP address for this. So I'm going to use 10.5.1.156/24/255.255.255.0, and then my gateway is just going to be 10.5.1.1. AVP host name will just be lab avp01, and then my domain, I'm going to set that as voipwell.co.uk. NTP server is going to be time.google.com, and then my DNS server will just be 10.2.3.250. And then we just need to specify a password for our admin user, so I'm going to set that now. And that's it. And then what we can do is we can click on generate Kickstart file if we're happy with all this information here is correct, which I'm pretty sure it is. So we're going to just generate that Kickstart file now. And then what that will do is that will be over here. We can just open it up and you'll see it's just configured the parameters in here for the file. As you can see, my IP address I've set and everything is here. So what we need to do is we need to go and find our USB, which is here. Just drag it over to the other screen. That's the USB. If I then go and copy that file that I've just generated, which is in my download section somewhere, should be. Let me just keep that. What we need to do is just dump that file in here. I'm just going to rename this as well because I already had that file on my PC. Just want to keep it the same name. So now we're going to have the CD burnt soon. We've got a Kickstart file generated on the USB. The other thing we need to do as well is we need to configure up our network on our PC so we can connect to the services port. Now this might not be necessary because you might just be able to configure your IP address using that Kickstart file and access it on the network. But if you don't have all of that set up already, what you need to do is, if you've got a spare network adapter on your laptop or your PC, you can do it this way, or you can just set it up on the only network adapter that you've got. What you need to do is just set an IP address of 192.168.13.5, and then this subnet mask here, 255.255.255.248. And we'll use that to connect into the services port. So we've got all of that ready now. I've got the CD burnt already. So what we can do is we can head over to the other camera and I'll show you what to do to be able to configure that up. The other thing I'm going to do as well is what we'll do is we'll run a constant ping to our services as well. So on our services port, what we need to do quickly is just run a ping to that. So we'll ping 192.168.13.6, and then we can also run a ping to the management IP address. So ping 10.5.1.156. And that's already pinging because I already have something configured on it, but it should disappear, so we'll just ignore that for the time being. So we'll head over to the other camera and I'll show you what to do to get the AVP installed on the S8300D. Okay, so got my CD burnt. That's in the CD drive. I've got the services port here, which is going into the services port, obviously. The LAN's connected to the gateway. What we want to do to prevent any damage to this card is we just want to hold this shutdown button in until it says it's okay to remove. So we'll just wait for that. What we want to do is get this USB, put it in the second slot, and then our USB DVD drive, which is here. This little fella needs to go in here as well. And then what we can do is once we're ready, we can just
wiggle our card out. We'll leave it out for just a couple of seconds. And then what we'll do is we'll just insert that card back into the slot. And what will happen now is it will read the contents of the CD. We'll use the Kickstart file to generate all those parameters for the IP information and stuff like that for the AVP. And then what we'll do is we'll just give it half an hour. Not even that, to be honest. I think I did one of these a couple of days ago and it only took about 20 minutes. So we'll just need to give it some time for it to finish installing. And then when we see the pings running on our services port, we'll know that we're online and we're ready to start deploying our OVA image for Communication Manager. So let's head back over to the PC in about 20 minutes and we'll see what the deal was with this, and we'll start being able to configure up our Communication Manager.
Right, so we're back on the PC now, and what we want to do is we want to type in here Communication Manager. We want to go to Release 8.1, and then what we'll need to do is if we go to Avaya Aura Communication Manager 8.1x software, we're going to want to download our OVA. I recommend going with simplex on this one, as it doesn't really make any sense to have duplex, as it's just running on one S8300D. So we want to download this one here, get that downloaded. We'll need that in preparation for our upload to our VMware. And let's just check to make sure these things are still not pinging. So they're still not pinging, but I'll show you some other commands we can do on our media gateway as well. So my media gateway is 10.5.1.155. And I'll just log into that using root and the password that I set when I set this gateway up. And you'll see it's not registered to anything. If we do a show module, you'll see that we have the two E1 and T1 MM710 cards in slot 2 and 3. And then also our S8300D is currently still initializing, and that's fine. The install's still happening, we don't need to worry about that. The other commands that I'll show you on here is we need to do a show system as well. So show system will give us the serial number. We need to make a note of that. I'm not too worried about that at the moment because I can always go back in here and grab this. And then you'll see here my firmware version, the MAC addresses of the LAN and the WAN ports. And also, you can see here I've got 25 channels of onboard VoIP DSP, and I've also got an MP120 voice DSP module installed in that gateway as well. So there's plenty of DSP resource there for a little lab system. The other thing I'll do as well is we can do a show run. And if I do a show run, what you can see in here is just some configuration of the gateway. So you see that I've got my username and my password in here. Interface VLAN 1 is for my LAN, so that's the IP address that I've got here, the one that I'm connecting in up here. That's good. And then what you'll see here as well is I've actually got a media list as well. And what I can do is I can just do a clear Mgc list, and that will clear that. If I do a show run again, then you'll see we don't have any Mgc list. Basically, the Mgc list is you telling the gateway about Communication Manager. Now I am going to use the IP address 10.5.1.156 for Communication Manager. So what I can do now is I can do set Mgc list, and I can say I want it to be 10.5.1.160. So that's the IP address I'm going to set of Communication Manager, and I've just realized I made a typo. So we'll do that. If we do a show run again, what you see now is we've got the media server list as that. So the media gateway now knows where to find Communication Manager, and once we've done that, we just need to do a copy run start. And what it will do is it will save the config, so if we reboot this gateway now, it will not lose any of this configuration that we've just set. And hopefully these are going to start to ping soon. No, they're not. So we'll have to come back to these in just a moment when they're ready for us to log in and do what we need to do. So, yep, just bear with me a second, and I will be back when these are starting to ping. Okay, so the S8300D has now started to respond to pings on the services and also the LAN. So what we should be able to do is we should be able to go in on the services, providing this thing's loaded up, which it hasn't, and we should also be able to go in on 10.5.1.156. So we'll just give that some time now as well. Might get the same message on that. So I just need to wait for for a minute or two just for that to kind of sort itself out. And what I can do is I can keep on refreshing that as well. So let's try that. And there we go, it's going to do something. So what we can do now is we can basically go to open the VMware host client. We can log in with our admin account and also the password that we specified in the Kickstart. And here we have it. So we're now logged in. Now this isn't licensed for VMware. So if we were to go manage and then go to licensing, you'll see that this isn't evaluation mode. If you have a VMware license, then you could apply this. There's no reason why not. But what we'll do is we'll go to machines and we'll click on create register VM, deploy for an OVA template, and then we'll just call this CM01. You can call it anything you like, and then from here what we'll do is we'll select our OVA we downloaded earlier on, which is this one. So click on that, click on next, click on next as well. We'll accept that, click on next, and then we'll just change these to public. You can add some like different network stuff in if you want. You can also set up VLAN tagging as well if you tag your VLAN through the G430, because these LAN ports actually come from the LAN port on the G430 or the G450. And then what we'll do is we'll just set that to be a CM main max users 1000 because it's nice and small. I'm not going to set this to power on automatically because it'll error, and I'll show you the reason why it'll error. So I'm just going to click on next, and then what will happen is we'll click finish now, and those files will then copy over to the VMware on here, and yeah, pretty soon we'll have a working CM. Well, I say working CM, we'll have a CM where we can boot up and we can configure the parameters. So I'm just going to stop the video for a minute whilst this copies over, because that will take a couple of minutes, and then we'll return back to this. Okay, so the CM OVA is now copied over. So what will happen now is if we try and power this on, it will fail. The reason it will fail is because if you get the S8300D doesn't support Communication Manager 8.1, so it won't have enough CPU reservation to make that work. So what we'll do is we'll just get rid of that in here. So I went into settings for the virtual machine, and I basically just took the reservation off. What we'll do is we'll save that now. We'll just get rid of these error messages. And we can power this up now. So we'll click on power, and there we go. That's powered up. So we'll just leave that to run. Try and make that a bit bigger as well so it's easier to see. And it will run a bit slow on here because this obviously isn't designed to run Communication Manager 8.1, but for a lab system it's absolutely fine. When it's up and running, it's good. If you've got a solid state hard drive as well, got a spare solid state, what you can do is you can remove the traditional hard disk drive off the S8300 and you can install a solid state drive. That will speed things up quite a bit, which I've done before on a small CM system I had running in the lab. But for this, it's absolutely fine. It just depends if you've got a solid state drive that you want to waste for doing something like this. But if you do have one spare, then by all means unscrew the old hard drive and stick the solid state on. And yeah, I mean, I've had Communication Manager 8.1 running on this, Communication Manager Messaging running on this, and I even had a small Windows server running as a file server. And you can run the utility server as well as a web server on that. So there's a lot of things you can do on just that small card. It's actually quite powerful for what it is. So anyway, this thing will soon boot up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a constant ping to the IP that I'm going to assign to this. So if I ping 10.5.1.160, that isn't going to ping. But what we'll do now is we'll log in with craft and craft01. We'll just hit enter to that, and then what it'll do is it'll ask us to suppress the alarm origination, which we can, and then it will ask us to specify an IP address. So I'm going to stick 10.5.1.160 in here /24, so 255.255.255.0, and then my default gateway is 10.5.1.1. They're all correct. So what will happen now is we should see some pings return here in a minute. and that's now pinging. So what we need to do is we need to add an administrator's account. So I'm just going to create lab admin, and I'm going to give this a password as well. When it asks me to put that in, don't forget these are a little bit slow, so that's why it's taking a while. I'm going to put my password in here, my password in here as well. We'll just leave that to finish what it's doing. No, I don't want to enable the ASG because there's no need for me to do that, and it's just telling me that the communication manager isn't licensed. So if we do a stat app now -L, it should tell us what's running. So they're all not running at the moment. What we need to do is we need to create admin. So we'll do cm user add admin. That will create that account for us, and then we'll just need to do a cm password admin as well, and then just specify the password for that account. And that's done. So what we can do now is we can head over to the web page of the communication manager, so 10.5.1.160. Click on continue, and then what we'll do is we'll just log into this using admin. There's a few things we want to check and set up, so we'll log in as admin. See what I mean about it being a bit slow. Another reason why I can't stress enough that this should definitely not be tried in a live environment, because one, it's unsupported, and two, it just runs like crap. So for a lab system, it's perfectly fine. So now we're logged into the communication manager webpage. What we can do from here, once it finally returns some stuff, is we need to go to server administration and just check some stuff in there. So server maintenance under administration. It's crazy to think that this is just running off a little card in a gateway. I know it doesn't look like much, but considering what it's having to do, it's pretty good. So we'll just go and check server role. And that's all fine. Yep, it's going to be a main server. We could use it as a local survivable processor if you already have a main CM running somewhere, but we're not going to look at that. And what I'm going to do is just go and check my network configuration as well, because there will be some things in here that we need to go and modify. And as you can see, the server memory setting is small. And because it's small, what it means is that you won't be able to add like G60, G650 cabinets and stuff like that in it. So hostname, I'm going to give it CM I1 S8300. That's my domain. That's my search domain. That's my primary DNS. I don't have a secondary DNS either. And that should be good. So I'm going to change these. And if we go back to, where is it? If I still have it running, it'll probably be on the VMware console. We can still do a stat app. Do a -C so we can just see it refreshing itself. And they're all up. So that's cool. We'll go back here. And whilst that's doing that, we can open up Site Administrator. And what we can do is we can create a new voice system, which is called a CM on S8300D. Network connection, we'll do 10.5.1.160 in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify the dadmin username and password and what I'm going to set the pin to as well. We'll just finish that. I'm not going to attempt to log in here at the moment because there's still some stuff we need to do. That is still doing its thing, and then what I'm going to do is just quickly SSH to it as well, 10.5.1.160 in preparation for the next thing that we need to do. In fact, I could probably do it from the console, but it will be easier to do from here. And just make sure it's still pinging. Yeah, it's dropped out, so I guess it's still applying some of those network parameters, which is fine. Check the stat app, still all up and running. So whilst it's doing that, I'm actually going to go over to the console and do what I was going to do over the SSH session. In fact, it's returned now, so I will just leave that for the minute. So what we want to do from here is we'll just cancel that out and we'll type in, we'll change to dadmin. In fact, I'm going to exit this because I don't think it likes it when I change user. And I'm going to log in with dadmin. Just going to check that. Yep, still doing its thing. So we'll log in with dadmin. As you can see, the host name has changed as well from those network parameters that we changed just a minute ago. So we'll log in with this and my password. And then what we'll want to do from here is we'll just type in sat enable. And then we're going to specify our pin that we're going to put in here. It always ends up having a bit of a fit when I do that, and it's not really too sure why. Well, we'll leave it for the minute and we'll come back. Once it's sat enabled. How strange. That's a bit annoying. Well, I'll come back to it in a minute. Let's carry on waiting for this to do that. So let's have a look. We need to change our time zone configuration as well now that's all done. It's really annoying actually, sat enable. It could still be doing stuff in the background, to be fair. Incorrect pin, yeah, it's annoying. So we'll change this to Europe, London. Obviously set the time zone to what you need it to be. I'm going to apply that. Again, it will restart something as well. Yep, that's all good. I'm pretty sure that's it. Well, what I will do is I'll go into server role and I'll just restart CM. Then we will be able to log in as our lab account. So lab admin followed by our password. And we'll be able to use sat on this as well. So if we did auto sat, for example, then it will allow us to log in. Just change that to sunt, and you'll see if you press F5, we've actually got not really a lot of stuff in there. We could do save transil, or just save trans actually would be probably preferable because we don't have any survivable servers or ESS servers to be able to do any of that, but we'll do a save transil just anyway. I'll just check this again, and that's fine. I'm going to try the sat enable command on this again. So we'll go to server role, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart CM. Restart CM, proceed, and then we should see all of our services on here are all up. So there we go, it's restarting CM now. I did warn you that it was a bit slow. So we're nearly there. Starting to wish I put that solid state drive in there now. And there we are, we're all up. So hopefully we'll be able to do sat enable on here. I'll put in our new pin. Hopefully it doesn't annoy. There we go. So that's it. Done that. So if you do F5 now, you'll see that we have some more bits. So what we can do now is we can do a save trans. Do a save trans all because I've typed it. That will save. I'm going to get rid of this as well because we don't need that up and running. And I'm just going to go back over here. And then what we'll do is we'll do a reset system 4. In fact, actually, I did want to have that up still, so we'll carry on with that. So communication manager will be down. And then the next time we log into it, we'll have some more parameters to play around with. So we'll be able to change our dial plan analysis. We'll be able to add stations and stuff like that. The other thing we're going to do as well is on my switch, I'm going to create another VLAN. So on here, I'm just going to do show VLAN while that's doing its thing. Show VLAN. And I'll use VLAN 8, I think. And then I've already got some phones and that set up on here. Well, some phone VLANs anyway. So what we'll do is we'll just set up a DHCP on here. So let's have a look. I'll just borrow that. What we want to do is IP DHCP pull CM. Actually, I'll just call it VLAN 8, and then network will be 10.8 1.0. 10.8 1.1, and then what we'll do is we'll add option 242. Let me just double check this. Let's get rid of that. Then I'll change these to be the right addresses. So what's going to happen here is we're going to set this to 10.5.1.160 is going to be that. Port was be 1719, and then the HTTP server, I guess, I haven't got these IP addresses set at the moment, but we'll set it to 10.5.1.161, and the same for this as well, 10.5.1.161. Just do right memory quickly, and then what I'll do is I'll just make sure that I can ping that. So ping 10.8.1.1. Yep, that's pinging, so that's good. That's all saved, so I don't need to worry about that anymore. And what I'll do is just check the running config on this thing quickly. So what will happen is on here for VLAN 8, it's going to be allocated an IP address from these ranges. That's the default router, and this is the option 242. The other thing I need to do as well is just need to do an IP DHCP exclude address. I'll do 10.8 1.1 to 10.8.1. We'll start do 99, and then we'll also do 254. We'll do that from 199 as well. So it means I only get DHCP assigned from those address ranges and not these addresses. Obviously, I don't want to assign 10.8.1.1 to a phone because that would break everything. So we can get rid of that now. So if we do auto sat on admin now, and we put in our PIN number, what you'll see is we've got more options, so we can add busy out and all sorts of stuff. And in fact, we can use site administrator to do this as well. So just log in on that. Yeah, we can accept that. And now you'll see we can do change dial plan analysis. So we could say, well, I want 1 with a length of 4 to be for my extensions. I could say that I want hash 8 to be, do that as 4 as well. That would be my dial access codes for my trunks. And then we could say that we want star 2 with 3 could be my feature access codes. So I have like star 22, star 21, star 2 something. And then we could do the same for this as well. So we could do hash 2, and that'll be 3, and that'll be a feature access code. Feature access code, and then we have it. And then what we could do now is we could say, well, I want to add station 1000 in. We'll change it to be 9620 because that's what the phone I've got. I don't have any cover paths at the moment. Set the security code to be 1234. Obviously, there's more stuff to do on this, and we could do duplicate station 1000 as well. And we can say, well, I want it to be 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, and we'll set these all to be like 1234, 1234, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we do a list station now, you'll see that we have those in there. So we can log those stations in. And if we do change core 1, then what we could do is we could set some stuff up in here as well. So calling party restriction, we don't want any of that outward. We don't want that to be done as well. The other thing we need to do as well in here is we need to add the media gateway. So if we do add media G, you can either do media G1 or you can just type in media G next and it will take it from that. I've got a G430, so I'm going to put that in here. And if I remote over to my G430 now, 1051.155, we'll need the serial number. So we'll log in as root and just grab that quickly. And you'll see that I've got these question marks next to the host name in the G430. That means it's not registered to Communication Manager. So we need to do a show system, grab this serial number here, move that over to the other screen, and I'll just call this G430. Nice imaginative name, isn't it? Paste that in there. Network region 1. And just to show you I'm not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes, that gateway is definitely not registered. Whack that in there, go back to it. And what you'll see now, or in a moment, we should see that this gateway will come online. There we go. And then we can just do a save trans quickly just to make sure that we don't lose any of the configuration when we reboot that card or there's a power cut or something like that. So it'll all stay in there. And then we could, if we wanted to, we could get some stations configured, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. But currently, if we do list station, we've got loads in there. Change class of service, group 1. We could disable and enable certain things in here as well. So class of restriction 1 I'll use as default. So we don't want to give it console access, but we could give class restriction 2 console permissions in case we want to record some announcements. And what else do we want to do? Yeah, we want to be able to call forward. Don't want to do that. Extended call forwarding, yep, we could enable that if we wanted to. We can enable that. Trunk to trunk transfer override, we could enable that as well if we wanted to. And what else? Call forwarding enhanced is already enabled. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're all good with that. Also, if we do change media gateway 1, you'll see that we have our cards in there as well, and even that has been detected, which is good. We can add our DS1 in as well if we wanted to. So because I'm in the United Kingdom, set that to E1, common channel, we'll just change it to ISDN PRI. That's going to be connected to PBX. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to connect these two cards up in parallel, and then we'll change it to 0101010000. That's all good. This is going to be set to network. Country protocol is going to be B, so that's all fine. We can do that. And then we need to change it to HTTP3. And then what we can do is we can do add DS1 001 V3. And again, we'll change that to 2, ISDN PRI. That's going to be connected to network. And then again, in fact, I'll change this to PBX and this will be simulating the user country protocol. I need to make that 10 actually. And the protocol was B. Change that to HTTP3. Tell you what, I will enable slip detection. And then after I do a busy board 001 V2 and then change DS1 001 V2. Need to change that to 10 as well. These are all documented in the Communication Manager administration guide. So yeah, that's it. We can set that up. Do a save transall. So what I think we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to go and get some phones connected to this. So I'll show you what needs to be done on that in just a minute. I've already set my VLAN up. In theory, all I need to do is just go and plug my phones into VLAN 8, and they should register to Communication Manager. We can log in. So we'll take a look at some stuff on the other camera in just a moment.
Okay, so what we got here is two phones ready to log in. So what we'll do is we'll just log in with this one, and we'll log in with extension 1000. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that one's logged in, and we'll do the same with this one, 1001. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these phones are now logged in. So hopefully what we can do is we should be able to call. And there we go. Hello, 1, 2. So that's working now. That's coming out of that phone, which is good. So we have two phones registered to the system now. Running through this here. So yeah, we're pretty good to go. We're pretty good to go and play around with our system. As you can see, 1001 is logged in there, and 1000 is logged in there. So we'll take a look at some more programming in just a second.
Okay, so we're going to do some more programming, and what we're going to do is we're going to set up two ISDN trunks, one using card 2, one using card 3. We're going to call between those. We're going to set up our feature access codes for our ARS as well, and we're going to configure our AS analysis and some other bits and pieces. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to do change dial plan analysis, because we need to make sure that we can dial 9 for an outside line, and that's going to be a feature access code with a total length of 1. So that's done in there. Now what we need to do is we need to do change feature access codes, and in here we're going to put the AAR code or the ARS code down as 9, and that's going to stay in there. What we're going to do now is we're going to set up this trunk group and a signal group. So what we're going to want to do here is we want to do add trunk 1, and we'll call this ISDN 1. This is going to be an ISDN trunk. The TAC is going to be #801. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the service type public unknown. That should be fine for that for the moment. We need to come back in here anyway. So we'll save that, and we'll do the same with trunk 2. So add trunk 2. Type is going to be ISDN. The trunk access code will be #802. And we'll just call this ISDN2. Say #802 or #802, depending on if you're in North America. That's all good for the moment. So what we can do now is we can do add signal 1. I'm adding signal in group 1, associated signal, and yes, on the primary D channel, because this is E1, it's going to be channel 16. For T1, it would be channel 24, I think, if memory serves me correctly. So what we're doing here is just do 001 V2 and then channel 16. Trunk group selection will be channel 1, trunk group 1, and now I just need to change this to C for ETSI, because that's what it is in the in Europe. So that's good. I don't think we need to worry about anything else. And we'll do the same thing as well for signal group 2. Again, ISDN 001V316. So that's gateway 1, card 3, and then channel 16 on that. Trunk group selection to be 2, and then we'll just change that to C for ETSI. And if we do change trunk 1, what we need to do is just go and add some members in. So I'll add 3 time slots per trunk for this. So 001V201, 001V202, and 001V203. And I'll just tell it that the trunk group for that is going to, or the signal group for that is going to be 1. And that's all good there. And the same thing for change trunk 2. We'll do 3 time slots on here as well. So 001V301, 001V302, and 001V303. And then make those signal group 2 and 2, which is cool. So we'll do that. And if we do status sig 1 now, that's out of service. Status sig 2, that's out of service. So what I want to do quickly is just want to do a change DS1 001V2. I've got that set to network 10. I'm just going to take a quick screenshot of that real quick so I can refer back to it. So that's good. That's ULAW. I actually need to change that to ALAW. So change DS1 001V3. Again, I need to change it to ALAW. So what have we got here? Connecting to PBX user. 10, that's going to be B, CLC4 is on. Yep, that looks like it's all good to me. So that should be fine. So let's do a release board S8300D2. Let's do a release board 001D3. And that's good. Status trunk 1. That's in service idle, and status trunk 2, it should be in service idle as well. So that's good. What we need to do now is we need to populate our ARS. So if we do change ARS analysis 0, we're going to say when I dial 0 and it's a minimum of 11, maximum of 11, I'm going to get it to use route pattern 1, and the public call type is going to, well, the call type is going to be public unknown. What we need to do now is change route pattern 1, stick trunk group 1 in here. I'm going to make the FRL3, which we'll need to modify our class of restriction for in a minute. I'm just going to give this a name of ISDM1 as well, and then trunk 1 will make public unknown, and we can do the same with route pattern 2 if we wanted to call the other way, for example, but I don't think we're going to worry about that too much. As long as we've got one trunk that we can dial in and out of, then it should be fine. And the number for that is going to be public as well, so we can do that. What I need to do now is just change my class of restriction, stick a 4 in there. That's all fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my public unknown number in. And I'm going to say if my extension length is 4 and they start with a 1 and they're going over trunk group 1, then I'm going to just make them 0207123, and then that should follow through 027123. So 0207123. Yep, that'll be 11. So we can do that. And we can also say if it's the length of 4 and the extension is 1 and it goes over trunk group 2, then we can say it's going to be 0203123 with 11. And what it'll do is we'll just take the last 4 of the extension and carry it onto that. That's the theory anyway. And if we do change incoming trunk group 1, we can say is if it's a length of 11 and the incoming number is 0203123, then we can just delete those 7 digits and we can insert whatever's left. And then we can do the same with changing incoming trunk 2 as well. We can say if it's, we just check incoming trunk 1 what I did for there, so that was 0203. Change incoming trunk 2, we can say if it's 020712, sorry, length is that 0207123, then delete 7 digits and it will just insert the rest. So let's have a look what we've got here. So change ARS A 0, that's going to overroute pattern 1. It's going to be public unknown. I'll tell you what we can do is we can say if we want to dial 0207 1111 go over route pattern 1 public, and then we can also say if we dial 0203 with 11 and 11 then go over route pattern 2, and I think that's right. Let me just check it. 020 helps if I put it in there correctly, doesn't it? 0203. Change incoming trunk 2. So that's expecting 0207, so that'll be going over. So that's going to need to be 0207, and we'll be going over trunk group 1, 0203, change incoming trunk 1, be 0203 coming in over that. I think that's right. Might need to swap these over. If you dial in 0203, it's going to be coming in on route pattern. Should be hitting trunk 1. Yeah, that's right. Cool. So if we do a list trace tac now hash 802, and we dial from the phone I've got over here, and we dial 902071231001. There we go. We have the phone dialing. Hello, 1212. So yeah, that's all good. And we should be able to dial back the other way. So if we do 9020312310000, it also works the other way as well. Hello, 1212. Hello, 12. And if I disconnect the ISDN, then we should get a nice disconnect message in our trace when we look at it. And we should be all good to go. There you go, denial event, network failure. So yeah, that's all good. So I've just showed you how to set up a small lab system with a couple of ISDN cards. I said they weren't going to be too important to this, but I thought, seeing as we've got them, just as well use them. I can explain how trunks and that go and the incoming numbers go. The one thing I will show you real quickly is if we go change station 1000, if you want to get the number to send over, you need to have the per station CPN set to Y. There is a global setting for that, but I'll let you guys work that one out. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be fun if I showed you everything. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Give me the thumbs up. Make sure you smash the shit out of that like button. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment below if you liked it. Thumbs up. If you didn't like it, leave a comment and let me know why. But yeah, until then, guys, I will see you in the next video. And I will make sure that I start uploading some content a bit more frequently as well. Right, see you in the next video.